안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of the Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-hwa in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment, K-sports, K-literature, K-everything. And before you know, you'll be booking your flight to Korea. We are joined by our co-host Walter Lee on a Tuesday for a change.
Yes, it is good to be here on a Tuesday. Hello everyone, my name's Walter Lee. I'm the co-host, usually on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but today I decided to steal Bella's position. So stay around for the K-Enter segment as well.
All right, we're going to look forward to that. But first, as I hinted in my opening today, we have a K-literature related report. As people find out that Nobel Prize winning novelist Han Kang runs an independent bookstore, interest in smaller bookstores has increased. These independent bookstores play an important role in keeping diversity in publishing, but they often run at a loss. Perhaps this is an opportunity for the large chain bookstores and the small independent bookshops to find a way to coexist. Ian Jin has the story.
This is an independent bookstore that Nobel Prize winning novelist Han Kang has been running for 6 years, despite it operating at a loss. She selects the books to display, stock, and share with the community personally, and also holds meetings with fellow writers. After her recent Nobel Prize for Literature, it has become a popular attraction.
I heard the news of novelist Han Kang winning the Nobel Prize for Literature, so I ran here to congratulate her.
Independent bookstores compete in the shadows of big chain bookstores, but they play an important role in introducing essential books and providing a space for reading groups, as well as preserving diversity in the publishing industry. The challenge is that selling books alone isn't enough to keep the small bookstores from operating at a deficit.
Bookstores that are smaller than 100 square meters are difficult to maintain by just selling books. Owners often also run a cafe or bar business with the library to keep the bookstores afloat.
Taking this into account, one large chain bookstore has decided to limit the sales of Han Kang's books to a total of 2,000 books per day across 8 of its branches. Instead, her books will be supplied first to small independent bookstores. This is in response to recent requests for a priority supply of Han Kang's books due to fast depleting stocks.
Even if it's temporary, if books in shortage are supplied at the smaller bookstores, it will greatly help revive them. In the long run, we need to discuss ways for the larger and smaller bookstores to coexist.
Han Kang's achievement of winning the Nobel Prize in Literature, which led to her books quickly selling out, has created a positive win-win atmosphere for the big chain bookstores and independent bookstores for the first time in a long while. Jin, Arirang News.
I think the number of small bookstores, but also big bookstores has been diminishing in the past. I mean, honestly, I find it difficult to find bookstores near my home or on my way back home when I just want to, cruise through the shelves and just look for a new book. What about you, Walter?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a small bookstore. And now with the invention of technology of you can read things on a tablet, I mean, it just seems that the smaller bookstores are having more and more trouble selling things. But maybe, with the rise of this, Han Kang's books because of the Nobel Prize in Literature, we'll hopefully start seeing a trend with the smaller bookstores getting more and more popular.
Yes, I hope so too. So maybe we'll see the small bookstores thrive with the beginning of the new year and also more people read than before. But Walter, you know what's also been thriving this year?
Tell me.
Well, Korean baseball.
Yes, I know that this year has been a really good year for baseball, especially with the diversity of crowds and the fact that we're breaking records as well with the attendance. But the KBO series has just ended, isn't that right, Sol?
Right, that is correct. The KBO season has ended and we're going to have the results in our next report. The Kia Tigers won their 12th Korean Series title on Monday, defeating the Samsung Lions in Game 5. They overcame a 5-1 deficit to win their first title since 2017. Lee Seung-jae has more.
Going into Game 5 of the 2024 Korean Series on Monday, The Kia Tigers had never lost a championship series, with 11 out of 11 previous Korean Series appearances ending in victory. After Monday night's game, Kia made it 12 for 12. Down 5-1 at one point in the game, the Tigers stormed back to beat the Samsung Lions 7-5 to win their first KBO League title since 2017. What made Monday's win even more special was that the Tigers were able to clinch the title in front of a sold-out home crowd for only the second time in their 12 championship wins. The Gwangju-based team now becomes the first professional baseball team to win a Korean Series title in 5 different decades: the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, 2010s, and now 2020s. While the Kia Tigers boast some of the best power hitters in the league, it wasn't the power hitters that helped them to victory. The 165-centimeter infielder Kim Sun-bin was named the Korean Series MVP after going 10 for 17 in the 5 games. He beat his teammate Kim Tae-gun 46-45 in media voting. While the Kia Tigers' 2024 season started off with their manager Kim Jong-guk getting fired over a bribery allegation, Lee Bum-ho, a Kia Tigers legend himself, took over the managerial role. The Kia Tigers cruised through the regular season, finishing first in the regular season and getting a direct bye to this Korean Series. And with no back-to-back Korean Series winners since the 2015-2016 Doosan Bears, the Tigers look to change that next season and defend their title. But for now, it's celebration time for the 12-time champions. 이 승재, Arirang News.
Time to talk with Walter Lee for our daily dose of K-entertainment news. So, Walter, let's first start with K-pop news regarding a boy band. It's none other than the BOYZ and their comeback.
Right, exactly. We're talking about the 11-member group. How big is that group? The BOYZ. And
I think that's about the average these days.
I know. It seems like the average, but they just released their 9th mini album called Do Hwa-son on Monday. Now, the new album represents the band's explosive confidence and determination to keep evolving and create unlimited potential within the K-pop industry. They've been around for quite some time. I mean, this is the 9th mini album. The title track, Trigger, starts with an intense house electro-pop sound that eventually builds into a powerful hip-hop arrangement. So this year, the BOYZ, if you're a big fan, you know that they've seen remarkable success, not only dominating the various charts domestically, but also globally as well, around the world. But this is also because they have been gaining momentum with their 3rd world tour called Generation 2.
Well, the BOYZ igniting a fire, like the title of their mini album says.
Yes.
But Walter, you also have some great news regarding a K-pop girl band.
I do, and it's ITZY. Now, ITZY has released their music video on Monday for their double title track, Imaginary Friend. Now, this is just a couple of weeks after their announcement of their mini album called Gold, which is also a track on their mini album. This is one of their biggest songs actually that has come out. It's one of their signature songs, and this has excited fans across the globe, including myself. Now, the 5-member group's new music showcased the elegant dance lines as well as exuding an aura of what we would call maybe K-pop's performance queens. Now, I think their choreography is fantastic. Now, on the 27th, ITZY shared some images of their Imaginary Friend music video on their social media pages, showing off their cool atmosphere as well as their stunning visuals and highlighting the concept of their album as well.
Yes, we can see the stunning visuals here in the music video, and I have to say I was especially, I felt amazed by the contrast of the white and black attire that they were wearing. That was reminding me of either Angels and Devils or the Culinary Class Wars.
You keep bringing that up. I have a feeling you're addicted to that show. So, as a person who really does follow ITZY, I see this video clip as more of a mature piece by the group in both their lyrics as well as their appearance. Now, this is also the first music video since Leah's return from her hiatus due to her health reasons, so making it even more special for the fans of ITZY.
That is good news. And we're going to wrap up with some K-movie news.
Yes, indeed we are. I actually got a bit of inspiration from your hairstyle today.
My hairstyle today?
Yes, your hairstyle today. I'm going to call it mandu, 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 mandu. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, that's also a Korean drinking game, so you should probably look that up.
Oh, so similar to pata patu, but
yes.
it's mandu,
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 mandu, mandu, mandu. So learn that game. We should just start teaching Korean drinking games on the show as well.
But what has that got to do with a movie?
Well, let me tell you that this movie is actually called About Family, which in Korean it's called 대가족, or a big family, but in English we call it About Family. Now this movie is set to be released on December 11th. What does it have to do with dumplings, which is what mandu is in Korean? Well, it tells the story of an owner of a dumpling store called Pyeongmang-ok. Now, the person who owns the store is called Han. Now, that's played by Kim Yoon-seok, and he's facing a bit of a crisis. His family bloodline is coming to an end because his son, who's played by Lee Seung-gi, is becoming a monk.
Oh.
However, his bloodline does continue, and Han is blessed with grandchildren. But it does talk about a chaotic but touching cohabitation experience with the family.
Very interesting story.
Yes.
And I have to say the singer-turned-actor Lee Seung-gi, he received a lot of attention for shaving his head like a monk.
Yes.
So yes, I'm very curious about that transformation.
I am too. I can't wait to see the movie.
All right, and I can wait to talk to you again in a bit.
Yes, see you
so
around.
stick around.
Yes, sticking around.
But first, we have some other culture-related news with our AI anchor, Ari.
Hello and welcome to the Culture Wave AI News. I am Mari, your AI guide to Korea's latest cultural news and information. Here's our first story of the day. Gyeonjeonggung Palace and Gangwon-jeong Pavilion, located in the innermost areas of Gyeongbokgung Palace, will open to the public next month. The Korea Heritage Service will launch a trial tour program every Thursday and Friday from November 7th to the 29th. Gyeonjeonggung Palace is where the last king of Joseon, King Gojong, and his wife Empress Myeongseong lived, and is also where the empress was assassinated by Japanese forces in 1895. Gangwon-jeong, a royal retreat from the late Joseon period, is renowned for its architectural and historical significance, as well as its scenic beauty. Donhwamun Gate, Korea's oldest wooden palace gate, located at Changdeokgung Palace, will undergo restoration starting next month. Originally built in 1412, Donhwamun serves as the main entrance to the palace. Restoration work is set to begin on November 11, with an indefinite timeline for completion. During this period, visitors will enter the palace through Kumhomun Gate, located to the west of Donhwamun. Please note that Changdeokgung Palace will be temporarily closed on November 12 to allow for the relocation of essential facilities. Culture Minister Yoo In-chon highlighted Korea's literary boom, sparked by Han Kang's Nobel Prize win, stressing the importance of seizing the chance to sustain the momentum. Confirming that the ministry has restored previously reduced funding for the publishing industry, he urged related organizations to work toward maintaining increased public interest in literature. His remarks came during a dialogue with young people, where various cultural policies and initiatives were discussed. That's all from me. Keep it tuned to the Culture Wave.
Korean literature has been receiving increased global attention following South Korean author Han Kang's win of the Nobel Prize in Literature. Behind that success was not only the novelist herself, but people who played their respective roles in promoting Korean literature abroad. For today's Hallyu People segment, we connect to one of them, which is Professor Anders Carlson, a senior lecturer at the University of London School of Oriental and African Studies. Hello, Professor Carlson.
Hello.
So, Professor Carlson, you have translated two of author Han Kang's books into Swedish, together with your wife, Park Ok-young, who is a translator. So, you must have received quite a lot of congratulations ever since Han received the Nobel Prize.
Yes, so there are many people that are very happy about the fact that Han Kang won the Nobel Prize in Literature this year. So, yes, we've heard from many people, both from Sweden and from Korea, etc. Yeah, there's a lot of buzz around.
Yes, while the celebratory mood here in Korea is definitely continuing.
Exactly. Now, if I'm correct, you actually expected Han to win the award. What made you believe so?
Maybe it's a little bit too strong to say that we expected it, but for many years now, there's been a lot written about Han Kang in Swedish media, and her books, literary critics have always received them very well. And there have been not a few critics have talked about her as a strong candidate for the Nobel Prize. So we certainly had a sense that there was a possibility. Of course, we couldn't know when, but there was once again this kind of buzz around her works.
So it did happen this year, 2024. Now, author Han Kang visited actually Sweden for a couple of events back in March, marking the publishing of her book, I Do Not Bid Farewell. Now, reportedly, she got a lot of attention there, especially at the Umeå International Literature Festival. So can you recall that event and how she was received there?
Yes, well, both the one in Stockholm and the one in Umeå, they were very successful. So in Stockholm, the event was sold out with 500 visitors in the venue. And the one in Umeå, there were more than 1,000 people that came to listen to Han Kang. And both in Stockholm and in Umeå, people queued for more than an hour to have their copies of her books signed.
More than an hour, that is amazing. Now, as if she was a K-pop star. So, Professor, yes. You and your wife have translated two of Han's books, as we mentioned before. So, one is the I Do Not Bid Farewell, or 작별하지 않는다 in Korean, and the other one is the White Book, or 흰 in Korean. So, we'd love to know how your journey of translating these books into Swedish was for you and your wife. So, also, how was the first impression of the novels when you read them? And, was there a moment where you thought, okay, we must translate these books?
Yes, so, we've been translating Korean literature together for close to 30 years now. And in 2013, at one program organized by the Korean Literature Translation Institute, we met Han Kang and we read her works, and we're very impressive, fascinating works, and we thought, oh, we really want to translate her works sometime. But at that time, we had other commitments, other translation commitments. But then in 2015, and this was before she received the Man Booker International Prize, a Swedish publisher contacted us and asked if we could translate two of her books. That was then Sonjoni Onda, or Human Acts in English, and The Vegetarian. But they wanted to have them published simultaneously because Han Kang was coming for a book fair in Sweden, so they gave a very, very short time frame for that project. So that time we weren't able to help them, and so they translated indirectly from English into Swedish. But then later on, when they contacted us about Hin, so we were very happy to work on that book. And later on also then Chakrajan and Or We Do Not Bid Farewell, Why Do Not Bid Farewell. So we worked on those two books, and the last one, that came out in March this year.
Yes, so your wife is Korean and yourself is Swedish. May I ask how that process of working together on the translation project as a married couple is like? Also, what were the most important aspects you considered when translating the books, and what were the biggest challenges, do you think?
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, I'm a Swedish person with a degree in Korean, and my wife, she's Korean with a degree in Swedish, and she's studied in Sweden. So we know the two languages very well. So we basically, first of all, we read the book, and then we discuss how to approach it, how to understand the tone, the style of the book. And then as we translate into Swedish, I do the main writing, but we discuss a lot. Of course, that's facilitated by the fact that we are a couple. And so we discuss about, it could be small things like how to translate a certain words, but also maybe how to convey certain cultural or social context to a Swedish reader. And I think what we pay special attention to and what is the challenge is more or less the same thing, and it's how to convey the kind of special tone and style that Han Kang has in her books. And she can write very tenderly and very beautifully about quite difficult subject topics. And so just how to find that balance between the language and the content. It is a challenge, but it's also very, very stimulating.
Seems that your wife and yourself are a great team for this sort of thing. But Professor, British translator Deborah Smith, along with the author Han Kang, received the 2016 Man Booker Prize for her outstanding translation of The Vegetarian. Now, there is actually a link between you and Smith, and can you tell us more about that, and how did you feel about her win?
Yes, so the link is my university, so SOAS, or School of Oriental and African Studies in London, where Deborah Smith did her MA and PhD degrees in Korean studies. And I do remember having her in one of my history classes. And yeah, so around that time, the Man Booker Prize, they started to give the prize to both the author and the translator. So I was very happy for Deborah Smith at that time, because it's always nice when the translator gets that kind of acknowledgement.
It is definitely. And also, Professor Carlson, currently you are also working on a Korean book, we heard, Cursed Bunny, or 저주 토끼, which is also by a Korean author named Bora Jung, or Jongbora in Korean. So how is that process going on? And also, are you, again, working with your wife together on this book?
Yes. So we are always working together on the translations. Yeah, and this is, I mean, in terms of style and in terms of content, a very different book. We find it very stimulating to work on that. So the background is more or less the same. So we read Jojo Tokpi or Cursed Bunny, and we thought, oh, this is a fascinating book. This would be interesting to translate. And then later on, another Swedish publisher contacted us and asked if we could translate that book for them. So we're working on that now. And I think Jongbora is scheduled to visit Sweden in the spring next year. So we're working towards having that book out by then.
So by spring, is that going to be again the same international festivals that Han Kang went to in spring this year?
It might be different.
Okay.
Might be different.
All right. So, Professor, one final question. We would love to hear about your future plans in regards to introducing Korean literature abroad. So, are there any work or specific authors you would like to work with or translate the books of?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we would like to translate more of Han Kang's books. And that is something that also the Swedish publisher is very keen on. Particularly since she received the Nobel Prize, but there are so many other outstanding Korean writers that we certainly think should be introduced to Swedish readership. I mean, before we have translated Hwang Seok-young's works into Swedish, maybe something more, maybe his latest books, but there are so many other authors. It could be Kim Yong-ha, Pae So-ah, Kim Arirang, Chun Myung-wan. I mean, there are so many of them, and actually Swedish publisher, they keep a very keen eye on what's going on in Korean publishing worlds and in Korean literary worlds. So I'm sure we will have many opportunities in the future to continue to introduce Korean literature in Sweden.
Yes, indeed. Let's hope that the latest win by Han Kang of the Nobel Prize in Literature does lead to many more translated books in Sweden. So, Professor Carlson, thank you so much for your insights today and, of course, your endeavors in promoting Korean literature in Sweden.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor.
And that brings us to the end of today's program. Thank you again, Walter, and we will see you again later this week.
See you later, so I'll see you when I see you.
And thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Cultural Wave, and hope you join us again on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Korea time, and maybe one day here in Korea. Thanks for watching.